Mayor Bloomberg, Carl Pope, welcome to the program. You've been a big city mayor. Most of the progress towards the environment and saving it and getting rid of carbon, etc., has been done on a local level. Some people would say, wow, how is that possible?
Well, this issue, it is a local issue, much more than a national or state issue. Most of the people, 50% of the public, maybe more, lives in cities, and that's where the pollution comes from, because they're the ones that use the energy that the plants producing the energy put into the air. They're the ones that have to face issues like crime and education and traffic, and economic opportunities are done at the city level. And so in this case, because of that, the federal government has not really had much to do with America's success in reducing carbon in the air and greenhouse gases. The state governments haven't had much success. It's really been done by local governments, where the public can talk to the mayor or the city council directly and say, clean up this air, I want it done today, and they have to listen. Or it's done by the private sector, you and I, who want to drive more fuel-efficient cars or paint our roofs white so that it reflects off the sun and reduces our cost. Or at the corporate level, because corporations want to be environmentally friendly. It helps in recruiting people, it makes them happy employees, it makes for happy customers, and most importantly, big investors want to invest in companies that are environmentally friendly. So that's where the problems are, and that's where the solutions are.
So, Carl Pope, you know that the president and those who are against the idea of regulation on climate say that it's bad for American business. But we've just heard, and we know that the stats show that actually it's a really, moving, gangbusters kind of business.
Well, it is the biggest economic opportunity of the 21st century. And it's that in the United States, it's that in India, it's that in Europe, it's that in China. Globally, 20 years from now, we will be using entirely different technologies than we're using today. And prosperity will belong to those countries and those companies that figure out how to do that first. So, for example, Donald Trump comes along. He says, oh, Barack Obama wanted to clean up power plants. I don't. I'm repealing the rule. That he might be able to do. He might be able to repeal the rule. But Reuters went out and asked 20 of the most coal-dependent public utilities, does this make any difference in what you're doing? And only one of them said it made a little bit of difference. The rest said, we don't plan around presidential elections. We plan for 20, 30 years. In 20 or 30 years, we're going solar, we're going to wind. Companies like Anheuser-Busch, America's biggest beer manufacturer, has announced that all of its electricity will come from renewables.
What about when people say, oh, well, we're doing all this, we're, controlling our carbon and putting in regulations. What about India? What about China? They're the big polluters.
The truth of the matter is those countries are doing even more than we're doing. Why? Because they have a much bigger problem. You see pictures of not being able to see across the streets in the big cities in China and India, and their governments can't survive unless they do something, because the people are saying, wait a second, I have to wear a mask, my kids are going to the hospital with asthma attacks, people tell me I'm going to come down with stomach cancer because the water's not clean, and so those governments have to do something. Now, they have bigger problems than we do. They're 3, 4, 5 times the size of America. They have antiquated infrastructures, so they have an awful lot of old plants that are more polluting than the newer plants. But nevertheless, China, I think, has already canceled the building of more coal-fired power plants than we have in this country. So it's just not fair to say.
And India's just made an announcement.
Same thing. It's not fair to say they haven't done anything, but let's assume they did. It really doesn't matter. We all contribute to it, to the change in the climate and to the environment today. Forget about 50 years from now. We contribute to the environment, the air we breathe, the water we drink today. And so if we help, if we do something alone, at least it makes it better than it would be if we didn't.
And we make money doing it. That's the thing people have to understand.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between sending someone a bill and writing them a check. The whole emotional relationship is a little different. When I send you a bill, you want to know, is that my bill? When I send you a check, you want to say, could it be bigger?
And don't you say something about how more people are employed in the alternative energy sector than ever were in the fossil fuels?
Right now, 5 times as many people work in solar and wind and electric cars than work in coal, oil, and natural gas. The wind industry alone employs more people than the coal industry did at its peak. These are the big job creators in the American economy.
So let us talk about the coal industry, because if one thing Donald Trump has been famous for is like, I'm going to bring back the coal industry. But people are saying, well, he's just said a few things that benefit the owners of the mines, not really the miners. People have said that even if coal production goes up, employment will go down because of technology. You've just funded a film about the consequences of the coal industry.
I think, number one, hopefully his advisors will explain to him. You got to remember, he comes in and he's got to learn about each of these issues. And I know in the campaign trail he said things, but he's president of the United States now, and so he's going to have to act differently. And he'll talk to his advisors, and I assume they will talk him out of some of those things and explain to him that coal miners are losing jobs because of technology, not because there's no demand for coal. The production of coal is up while the number of people working in the industry has gone from 800,000 at its top to 50-odd thousand today. What's happened to coal miners is happening in every industry, retail, and because of Amazon, and just television, everything. Because of technology, people are losing their jobs. And that's a great societal problem we have to work on, not just coal miners losing their jobs. In the case of coal miners, number one, I think they understand those jobs are not coming back, no matter what the president says. You just can't wish it. It's not going to be true. And in any case, coal, because it's so polluting, we really do want to go to renewables. Somebody said that, you know, if we have lots of vets out of work, we're not going to go start a war to put them back to work. And in this case, we're not going to go and use polluting coal just to give the coal miner jobs. What we have to do is we have to find ways, and my foundation is supporting 3 organizations which are trying to create and retrain jobs for coal miners. The trouble is, coal mining is just a small part of a societal problem all across America and, in fact, around the world. And that's the great challenge for us, Christina. It's solving the problem of jobs, it's making sure we don't have a nuclear war, and it's climate change. Those are the 3 big things, and there are no easy answers on any of the 3.
So if the latest American poll CBS did shows about 57% of Americans are very concerned that the next generation will be worse off climate-wise than we are now, you've also said that actually these climate goals set down by the Paris Accords, America is close to meeting them.
Well, we've already, you know, Barack Obama went to Paris in 2015, and he promised to cut emissions by 26%. It's January 1st, 2017. 14 months later, we were already 2/3 of the way towards meeting that goal. We are going to overrun that goal, not because of anything Donald Trump says or doesn't say. We're going to overrun that goal because coal can't compete. Coal is so uncompetitive that the Coal Mining Museum in eastern Kentucky proudly announced that it had converted to solar power to save money. To save money. That's the key phrase, to save money.
But I think one of the things we've got to focus on here is it's up to us to convince this administration, Donald Trump and his advisors, that this is the right ways to go. Nobody wants to start a he said, she said battle. It's not partisan. We're all in this together. We all breathe the same air. We all drink the same water. And so what I hope is that the success we've had so far, Donald Trump is going to wake up and say, well, look, you know, I'm very concerned about coal miners' jobs. So is Carl Pope and Mike Bloomberg. And in fact, we're trying to do something about help it. Maybe I can do something as well. And let's make sure that we address other problems as well.
Mayor Bloomberg, Carl Pope, with a climate of hope. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.